Hey guys, so today we're going to be going through our brand new Kickstarter for our brand new game, Float from the Deep. If you don't know us, I'm Freddie.
I'm MJ.
And I'm Matt.
And basically we have a slew of questions already from you guys, and then if you guys want to ask questions while we're going, please feel free. We'll also be dropping into the comment section some pictures so you guys can kind of go along with us while we discuss the things. So the first question out the gate is from Jorge, and it is, what is the game all about?
It's a very broad question.
Yeah, very broad question. So I guess from a story aspect, the idea of the game is basically you are a slew of different people at sea, an accident occurs, and you're all rushed into life rafts. And from there, you're basically trying to lead your separate teams through really bad waters to a island you can softly see in the distance. I think that's like a pretty good descriptor.
Yeah, it's a survival game. I mean, there's an explosion and you're left to survive at sea.
You've got 7 days.
Yeah, and you've got 7
To
days
survive.
to make it to the island and to stay alive. And there's all sorts of hazards and creatures and things that will try to make you not stay alive.
Next question, actually it's kind of a combo question from two people asking this. Eric D and Joe L asking, is it possible to play solo, or will there be a solo variation added in the future? In terms of right now, the game is for 2 to 5 people. A possible solo variation could occur. I'm not 100% sure.
Never seen them.
Yeah, we tend to design our games though for 2 or more, just because it's nice to have something to play when you're sitting at home with friends and family. Ryan L. Mixtape and Escape pull heavily from slasher films. What are a few of the films that most inspired this newest edition?
Oh, nice. That's a
Yeah.
good question.
So for starters, I think kind of like the 2 big pools of like films that I was watching that I kind of got inspired by were Deep Rising and The Shallows. Yeah, The Shallows, definitely. But I mean, there's other stuff in there. There's
Yeah, I think the big scheme is like this comes from your original fear of sharks and like you love aquatic horror, and that's where the original idea came up with. But yeah, like Mixtape 2, we try to pull from a lot of fun stuff. I mean, again, we're trying to throw in like some references. I wouldn't say it's as reference heavy as Mixtape.
For sure.
It's sort of because it's a smaller scale. It's whereas Mixtape is like this
Giant
universe
world.
and this world with all these like this is like a very specific story and a very specific timeline. It takes place over 7 days, and it's sort of like a micro story in that sense, but
that branches out.
yeah, that branches out exactly.
But yeah, no, this definitely it definitely started as I have a horrible fear of the ocean. I haven't been back in the ocean since I was probably 8, and I probably a lot of films.
Because you don't want to get ate.
Yeah, because I don't want to get ate. Yeah, I have an irrational fear of sharks. I love sharks, but I have also an irrational fear of them. And then we kind of just it's like Matt said, we kind of just started pulling from different movies we liked and stuff, but also just kind of the idea of the ocean and what's the most terrifying things we could think of in the ocean that might not even be there, but we imagine in our heads kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like it starts out as sort of a very real, I guess, somewhat realistic scenario.
For sure.
But we have ideas and we want to pull it into a more fantastical direction too. So like, the ocean just makes for a cool setup and a cool scene because it's so mysterious and so vast and so unexplored in so many ways. So there's a lot of stuff we can do with that.
Oh, awesome. I can't post pictures. Fantastic. Anyway, we'll get into it further.
Can you
No, you can't. So the next question comes from Levi. Hi, guys. This looks like it's going to be another killer game from the team. I have 2 main questions at this time. First, once the game is released, can we assume you'll be planning expansions for this game as well? Second, when will the game actually be available? Thanks. So we're going live November 3rd for the actual Kickstarter.
Yeah, the Kickstarter is November 3rd, so mark your calendars for that. We have just about a month away.
It'll be live for 21 days and then go into the usual backer kit pre-order phase. I would highly suggest during the first 21 days to be a part of the Kickstarter. We are going to have some cool exclusives just for Kickstarter, including some cards and things like that you won't get outside of the Kickstarter. But then in terms of it being actually available, to be honest, I mean, you guys have seen it with 1,000 Kickstarters. We can give you a date, but with kind of the craziness of the world, it fluctuates, especially with everything with COVID and such. As you've seen, I'm sure you guys have seen on the news and such, shipping and manufacturing in general, there have been a lot of like hiccups or a lot of delays. We've seen it ourselves with restocking things where once it comes into port, it can be sitting there for a month and a half and we can't do anything with it. But the idea is to probably have this available sometime by summer of 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say the Kickstarter will happen, and within a year, we will definitely have the product in hand. I mean, I'll also add that we're probably, every time we do a project in a Kickstarter and stuff, we're learning more. We pretty much have it down at this point, but we're going into this Kickstarter with a lot of the pieces in the game and the artwork and everything is already produced. So we're very confident that the Kickstarter is going to get funded, which hope everyone comes out and joins it because that's how it gets funded. But we're confident and we're also prepared. So we're ready to go into production right at the end of Kickstarter, if not even before.
I'll jump to the Facebook the Facebook questions for a second. First.
Yeah, we have the question from Daniel, who this kind of goes into the last question that we just talked about, whether we're going to
expand it.
grow this universe as well.
And yes, the plan is that we do have a lot of ideas as to where to take this. Can't really share much more after that, but yes, there are plans to take it into new directions.
We're like other ideas that we have and things we've done in the past. We don't just want to spend. It takes a lot of time and resources for our team to create these things. So we want them to have legs. We want people to also get more out of their purchase if they buy something. Being able to have expansions and boosters and different things to add on and grow the product. So definitely we're thinking in the back of our heads, if it's successful as we think and hope it could be, we have other stuff planned to continue to grow it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And then, let's see. Okay, next question. Chris M. What is Float and is it compatible with Mixtape and or Escape? So let's get this out of the way. So this is an entirely new product. Unlike a lot of our previous stuff where it's either an expansion or an addition to the world of Mixtape, this is a completely different world, completely different universe.
It's a different game. It's just a whole different thing. Yeah.
And in fact, the other thing is, as Matt says, this is a different game. So it's a different type of style of game too. It plays differently and things of that nature. And that's kind of what's exciting for us is that we get to venture out of kind of our comfort zone and kind of get to do something new. And hope you all enjoy it. This one's from Daniel. Is this game going to have anything in reference to Cthulhu? Maybe?
Definitely possible. One might even say likely, but we'll see.
Brandon G. Will there be shipping to Canada? Will it include duties? In terms of shipping and such, we do plan to have this be a U.S. and Canadian Kickstarter for all of our backers who have done international before. We'll probably have it on the same setup that you can sign up and we'll immediately contact you post. You'll have access to all the rewards and such that we've had during the campaign, and there'll be a window for you to submit your order and get your things. Right. And in terms of the duties thing, it's something that we don't have too much power over. We will work with the best shipping companies we can, but at the end of the day, we don't have a proper setup still to this day for international shipping.
Well, yeah, and then just to add to that, the reason we offer the international shipping outside of the Kickstarter is because in the past we have had a lot of issues where we've had to take hits because international backers will cancel their orders if they see like the shipping rates are high or whatever. And we work really hard, and we've worked with a bunch of different shipping people and fulfillment companies and stuff to try to get the best shipping rates we can possibly, but at the end of the day, shipping is expensive, and we understand that. But when we offer it through the Kickstarter and somebody pledges and then does backer kit and then ends up canceling, we end up paying a lot of fees to have that backer go all the way through the process and then cancel at the end. So for us, it's much more efficient for us to get those rates for someone, give them a proper estimate, let them know exactly how much it's going to cost, and then you have a choice. If you wanna say, hey, that sounds good, I'll purchase. That's awesome. If not, we totally understand. Just the thing is, at the end of the day, we can't, we can't take a hit on that. So we're a small shop. This is us. We ship everything out of this warehouse we're in right here. So we're trying to get the games to everybody, but that's just the process that we found at the moment works the best for us.
But hey, maybe it blows up, and then we can do that. On to the next question from Melissa M. Will the game be translated into multiple languages? Will the Kickstarter involve international shipping? As we just mentioned, the campaign will have openings for international shipping. You can get in post campaign. As for it being translated, we do not know at the moment if we'll be doing translations. That's something dependent upon the audience and such. If we see a high number that we need that, we'll definitely do so. Will there be any nods to Mixtape Massacre in Float? I think like a lot of creators, we do like to have fun with Easter eggs and things of that nature. So you could see some Easter eggs, but it's like we've said from the jump, this is definitely a different world and such. So I wouldn't expect, glaring things from Mixtape Massacre to appear in this game. Josh H. Would you please make minis? It's what made me purchase your most recent Kickstarter. And I guess to that, we could say that we do plan to have minis.
Yeah.
The base game doesn't require them. You don't need them. But we know that a lot of people like to have them and have that extra aesthetic on the game. So we did find some nice places to make space for minis if people wanted to have them in the game. And we'll be offering a set of minis at the opening of the Kickstarter.
Yeah, and now that we in doing minis for Director's Cut, we have that process down now. So we feel more comfortable offering it. We know it's going to come out, as we intend to. That's the other thing with minis. And anytime we add a new feature, we want to make sure it's high quality. We want to make sure it's adding value to the product too. So now that we kind of have that in our toolkit, we're excited that we'll have minis as a part of this Kickstarter as well.
Yeah, we were really thrilled with how great the minis came out for Mixtape Massacre.
They look awesome.
Yeah.
So, and we're going through the same processes and such and getting the new minis prepared for this. So we think you guys will really, really like them. Is this game in a similar style as Mixtape Massacre? What are the ways this game stands on its own, especially with the success and acclaim of Mixtape within the horror community? Thanks. And that's from Rob W.
So I guess maybe he's talking about similar in style of play, maybe?
Probably gameplay, yeah. So, in terms of, well, if we're talking aesthetically, Matt does the illustration and the designs and stuff, so it's going to look, it's going to have somewhat of a similar feel or look to Mixtape, but at the same time, it's an entirely different theme.
Yeah.
We worked to really try to make the look also different at the same time from Mixtape.
Yeah, I think you could probably tell some similarities if you have Mixtape and a bunch of the, if you have some of the stuff, you'll tell that there's similarities in the artwork. But it was also nice to be able to, break away from being tied to the aesthetic we've created from Mixtape. We hadn't, we were kind of starting with a blank slate and we could do some things different. So I think people will recognize the similarities, but it stands on its own too.
Absolutely. And in terms of gameplay, this is a whole other beast. Now, unfortunately, for some reason, I can't post the pictures. So what I will do is post after
Everything's on the Instagram.
Yeah, if you go on our
Instagram.
Click over to our Instagram, you can see it. Otherwise, we'll be reposting this video with some images cut in. But grand scale, this is a totally different game. The original game in Mixtape, you're rolling to get to different locations and things of that nature. In this game, you're stuck in a boat, so you're really only going one way. You're trying to get to the island. You have 7 days to do so.
Yeah.
Each day is broken up into 3 parts. You have your morning, your afternoon, and night. Each day also starts with a certain status or event that kind of sets.
Yeah, I think just change the entire day and how you play during that day.
Absolutely. It sets kind of the precedent for the day. Those
Yeah.
cards are called daily statuses. And then in terms of the day starting, you also start every day with a certain creature on your tail. Like it's surfaced, and that kind of sets the worry level of like, oh shoot, I hope I don't, bring this creature to me kind
Yeah,
of
you
thing.
can kind of get a sense at the beginning of the day if it's going to be like
A horrible day.
how challenging it's
Yeah.
going to be. And then in general, just to step back too, I'll say I guess a couple things. Like it's more of a card-based game.
Yeah.
So your actions are more traditional card-based game where you're
Drawing
getting
and
different
pulling.
cards. You're drawing from a main deck, and then there's there's a few different card types within that deck. And then also in terms of the setup, you're playing against the other people that are at the table. There's not really much of a co-op to this game at all. It's a versus player game. So you want to obviously your initial and most important premise is to keep your boat healthy and alive, but you can also mess with the other boats. So you can get downgrades and you can do other things to actually hurt the other people that you're playing against too. So there's strategy involved in that sense, like how you time your things when you use your different equipment cards and all that stuff. So I will say the one thing that we did try to kind of keep consistent was the ease of play. It's not super complicated to learn how to play.
I will say this game from a top-down view will probably look more complicated, but in kind of comes like us really working hard to kind of make those things make sense out of the box. Every character, every player is going to have a player station. Your player station and the purposes behind it are to manage your team, manage your water, and there's your health, and there's a danger meter on it specific to each person, which kind of brings the creatures to you, and you want to keep that low. From there, it's like Matt said, a lot of it is card-based. The board is basically the 7 days.
Right, it's just essentially a tracker that helps you keep track of moving through the 7 days.
And on that board also is the daily status and what creature is currently in play. And that kind of changes every day. But though there's going to seem like there's a lot going on, it is going to be one of those things where once you've played a day, you're going to be in it and you're going to know how it plays. Pretty
You
easily.
want to post the link to the website in the comments?
Yeah, sure. So if you want to check it
Yeah,
out,
people can
check
that
out some of the
That'll have
pieces. You could also just go to the Instagram that has a good amount of it on there. William Stiles asks, will there be day one backer promotions?
I think he means like a Kickstarter
Exclusives and things like that.
Yeah.
And yes, we will have an exclusive for day one backers. That exclusive will also be available in the higher pledge levels, but for day one, if you're just getting the base game out the gate, yes, there will be an exclusive specific for that. And then in talking about it, kind of the leaders and kind of the creatures are kind of the main stars of the game.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think like I would say similar to Mixtape, we had a lot of fun playing with characters and character profiles. I mean, we do, even though the concept and the sort of the premise of this game is pretty simple, we want to have backstories still to characters, and there needs to be a bigger story at play, especially considering, people we are asking about it having legs and possible expansions and stuff. So we still, want to create a story and tell a story, and that ultimately that's where we have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, the creatures are, sort of limitless possibilities for where we can go with the creatures, and then characters too. We're bringing in some fun, stereotypes and sort of mashing some of our favorite film characters together again to kind of make, create something that hopefully feels fresh, but also nostalgic and like you recognizable.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I think I will say from a when we did like the kids for Escape from Tall Oaks, we played with stereotypes a little in terms of like your certain characters. I feel like this one we got to
the tropes kind of.
The tropes we definitely did on steroids with this one in terms of the characters. Like I think each character is like pushed to the limits of what that kind of character can be, kind of thing. I also think with the kind of exciting thing with this game and like people asking about is their plans for the future is, it's like Matt said, there's a well here. Like there's so much fun we can have with this to build off of and take into the future. So I think that's kind of the fun. But I think with the characters we're putting into this, I think much like the other games, people will be invested in specific characters and have favorites and such. So, and they'll all have unique abilities that bring things to their boats and things of that nature. So, in that aspect, I think people will enjoy it. 2 questions. One from Ronnie Whitaker. So is this going to be more of a team game or every man for themselves? It's every player for themselves, but you will be managing a team. So it's
every
Yeah.
man
Yeah,
for themselves.
Yeah.
every man for
it's
himself.
your team can be from 1 to 3 players that you continually can shuffle through, and as the game progresses, you'll lose people, but you can possibly rescue other people and things of that nature. But yes, it's every man for themselves. Can I kill other players? Sabotage.
Good one, Justin.
Yes.
Yes.
You can kill and you can literally sabotage other players.
Yeah. Literally, there's a sabotage card.
But yeah, so and then just in talking about the creatures and such, you know, some of the creatures we've shown off so far, we have our shark, which wasn't obvious from the. I mean, if we're being completely honest, the game all started with just a shark.
Right, that was the initial idea. It was like just kind of a shark, and then we, wanted to push it further and kind of have the ability to go beyond creatures that exist, and then creatures that maybe or don't exist.
Yeah. So we have creatures like Cordelia, which is the siren or the mermaid, evil mermaid. We have the maelstrom, which is just like that's kind of right now the big mama in the game, like
For sure.
yeah, that's your squid meets like steroids kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess you would just call it a squid, but we kind of wanted
Yeah.
it to be more than that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like
It's almost alien.
creature.
Yeah, it's
or
almost
something.
alien in nature.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's other creatures to be revealed that if you're fans of aquatic horror films and things like that, I think you'll be pretty excited about what else is going to be in the deck, as well as some exclusives we have for the game in terms of creatures. We definitely wanted to make this Kickstarter pretty exciting for people who jump in and have some things unique just to this campaign. As we know, you guys got a big kick out of a lot of the exclusives we had for the director's cut, so we want to make sure we do the same here. Any other questions from the crowd right now? Yeah. Ryan LeDrew loves Deep Rising. Heck yeah. Was there anything else on our end that we wanted to kind of showcase?
Well, no, I mean, I think that, we've been sharing some images weekly on, every week we're posting some images on, there's an actual Instagram for Float. You can follow that. Right now, obviously, we're using the sort of the mixtape platform to promote because that's kind of the, up until now, that's what projects we've been working on and stuff.
Daniel asked, does Nessie make an appearance?
Nessie.
Nessie.
Yeah, no Loch Ness at the moment, but could be a funny thing
Nessie.
to introduce.
That's good old Nessie.
But yeah, as Matt says, we have an Instagram up. I would definitely follow along with that. We're literally every week we're posting 3 specific images a week that gives a pretty good preview of things. The most notable thing, I realize it's a separate game, but is there a chance to cross over with Mixtape or Escape? I'm reading 2 questions at a time, sorry. I don't think there'd be any crossover between the games, but there'll definitely be some inside jokes and things
Some
like that,
nods,
Easter eggs and things like that to the original game. Is it both card and dice driven? Yes. Kind of like trying to explain that mechanic of cards versus dice is cards can give you a lot of things like equipment, supplies, abilities to do certain things. Dice are kind of the way you can act out those things. So, for example, if your player draws a card that adds certain equipment to the thing, like a gun or a knife, the dice are, it's kind of like Escape almost, like where you can, the dice are adding those extra points on to whatever you're using and things of that nature. But the other cool part about this is you get a dice for each person you have in your boat. Sometimes you get people that suck.
You have more advantages if you have more people. So your boat can hold up to 3 people.
Float your boat.
You have a leader, and then you can have up to 2 castaways in your boat. And the castaways are cards or people that you pick up through cards. And like Freddie says, if you have more castaways, that enables you to kind of do more. So if you get attacked, you have a little bit more manpower, you can probably defend yourself a little better. Some castaways are better than others, though.
Yeah.
And
Some also bring disadvantage.
Right.
A couple quick examples. Whereas the tourist is kind of your generic one.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, they're basically just like you can lead them. So the nice thing about them is they bring additional health. They come full health, and they allow for you to roll extra dice. But if you get someone like a doctor who also has an ability to heal people, that's more advantageous. But then again, you could also bring someone onto the boat like the stoner. The stoner. Yeah, the stoner's going to cost
a little extra resources.
The stoner's going to use extra water.
It's a little selfish, maybe.
The bachelorette.
The bachelorette just completely puts you in danger and is of no use to you whatsoever. But she's in your boat. And that's kind of the cool thing about it is that it's one of those games where it does become like a movie in the sense that you're making those tough decisions that they make in the movies of like, is this person helping the group or kind of impairing the group? Do we need to get rid of them? If we get rid of them, what are the consequences for me getting rid of them? And things
Some
like that.
castaways are just straight up shark bait, and that's okay. That's a strategy.
Yeah, I mean, even in death, you're kind of making calls about like, okay, well, I'll let this person die and things of that nature. That's what kind of makes it definitely a fun experience, but also a cool team managing experience. Justin's at. Are you asking about Cthulhu, or are you just excited about Cthulhu? He's just like Cthulhu.
Nothing else to say about that.
We were saying earlier that there may be something in reference to Cthulhu in the game.
I think we really just kind of wanted to give a little preview and answer some questions. A lot of people were asking if it's going to be tied to mixtape, and if it's going to be, but, I think the clear answer on that is that this is exciting. It's a new thing for us. It's a completely different project. It doesn't mean that mixtape won't continue to be a primary focus for us because it's still growing, and we have a lot of exciting things on the horizon with Director's Cut and everything coming out soon. But this is a different chance for us to play with different mechanics and create a kind of a different universe and grow as a company as well. So. We hope you guys will show up and support for the Kickstarter, and maybe we'll do this again before the Kickstarter
or during. I think during would be better.
But we're always available too. If people have questions, just shoot us a message or post on this thread or whatever, and we'll do our best to answer.
But the biggest thing I would say to you now is definitely go follow the Instagram at Float the Game, and definitely go check it out at floatthegame.com. It'll give you a lot more information and visuals, which I think will really, really help give you a better picture of things. And like we said, this video, once we have it recorded and such, we'll go back through and add in some pictures and such so you can check it out and see the full scale of things.
Right, we were hoping to be able to share images today, but
Facebook just seems to be making questionable choices lately.
They change the live thing every time we do it, it's a different format, so... we'll see.
At least the server's up.
Everything's on the website, so you can go up and check it out on the website. But I think unless we have any other questions, we'll probably wrap it up.